Hello, everyone. This is the intro lesson to the intelligence and intelligence testing unit. Many parts of this unit will be review from things we've done earlier in the year, which is good. It's a short unit. We'll be on it for just about a week and a half. We'll be done with it before winter break. Today, we're going to discuss what is intelligence. We're going to define it, talk about different definitions of intelligence, and then over the rest of the week, we're going to talk about how we assess intelligence. That's the main part of the unit. But before we can know how to assess it, we have to know what it is. So, intelligence, as a raw, basic definition, is a mental quality consisting of the ability to learn from experience, solve problems, and use knowledge to adapt to new situations, which is different in different places. In the Amazon, and if you were in the jungle, intelligence would be learning, understanding the medicinal qualities of plants. In New York City or in the United States of America, it's maybe understanding technical things or things on involving our modern technology. So all intelligence tests are not they're not just asking you information that you know already. Intelligence tests are methods for assessing your mental aptitude, meaning your ability to learn new things, and comparing it, of course, with others. That's how we could have IQ scores. As you remember from the very first unit, the average IQ is 100 with a standard deviation of 15, so we have to put people at different points along the scale. So an IQ test will never ask you who was the first president of the United States. That does not demonstrate new learning. That demonstrates memory and retention, which is not what the IQ test is primarily testing. So we may remember the term factor analysis back from the personality unit. It's back here again in the intelligence unit. Spearman believed that there was a general intelligence factor or quality, which he called G. That was the variable was a lowercase g. A general intelligence factor that underlies specific mental abilities and therefore is measured by every task on an intelligence test. So again, your SAT does this. Your SAT scores, they don't just use one factor of G, they divide it between verbal and math. But an intelligence test would be just have one factor and would say there's a correlation. Through factor analysis, we can find a correlation between many different subscales of intelligence: verbal reasoning, writing ability, listening comprehension, how quickly we remember things, how many things we can remember, our speaking ability, our math ability. According to Spearman and his factor of G, all of those things can be clustered together through factor analysis. So when you give someone a test and you don't need to give them back 25 scores on the 25 subscales of verbal versus math, or this versus that. It's one score of what your intelligence would be. Same thing, we could use a comparison to athleticism. Your running speed, your throwing accuracy would correlate with each other, just like the subscales of intelligence will correlate with each other. Before we get into Gardner, there's one more term to know: savant syndrome. The old, very, very politically incorrect way of saying this was an idiot savant, and obviously calling anyone an idiot is not correct at all. But that was the old-fashioned term. The modern term is just calling it savant syndrome. Savant is someone who has limited mental capacity in most areas. However, they may have one exceptional specific skill. Many people in the autism spectrum have this. Someone, maybe they're great in math, or they're great in musical talents, or they're great in art, but they're low on all other forms of traditional intelligence. So now let's move on to Gardner, right? Gardner over here believed in the theory of multiple intelligence. Multiple intelligence says that the traditional way we measure intelligence in school is very limited. In school, almost everything you do falls within the logical, mathematical perspective, and I guess perhaps the linguistic perspective. If you take music, we evolve that too. Spatial, body, that might be a little bit in geometry. Body kinesthetic might be in phys ed. But intrapersonal, which is being in touch with yourself, interpersonal, your social skills, naturalist, being in touch with the environment and understanding things like in the forest, like the Amazon example we gave before. Most of these things, right? One, two, three, for the most part, four, five out of his 8 subcategories of intelligence are not measured in the traditional school setting. So students who don't perform well in school, according to Gardner, it doesn't mean that they're unintelligent or less intelligent. It means that they have different types of intelligence. So here's a more graphic version of the same thing, right? So someone who's an excellent dancer, or someone who is great at talking to other people, or being social or being a therapist, those forms of intelligence might not come out in the traditional K through 12 curriculum. But according to Gardner, that does not make the person any less intelligent. It's just a different type of intelligence. So Gardner's theory, for those of you who want to go into education yourselves, is very widely used in teacher training, because students who don't respond, who struggle in school and don't respond to this traditional style of learning, should not be viewed as less than. We just need to find new ways of teaching them things and getting the material in a way that they'll understand. These are all different types of intelligences, but what Gardner would say, Gardner, with his 8 theories, 8 different types. Another word that Gardner coined, or that we'll put under Gardner, is grit. Grit is defined as passion and perseverance in the pursuit of long-term goals. So it's not just your level of intelligence, right? You can go back to the previous slide a second, is that regardless of your ability to get a certain type of, achieve in a certain area of intelligence, you have to have the passion and perseverance to do so. So Sternberg has a third theory of intelligence. So just to review, we've had 3 so far. We had Spearman with the general theory of intelligence with G. We had, and kind of a middle ground would be Sternberg. Sternberg says there's 3 main types of intelligence: analytical, creative, that should say creative, not creating, and practical intelligence. The analytical, again, is mostly what you do in school, periods 1 through 8. Creative intelligence and practical intelligence are not always demonstrated, or not always represented in your report card grade you get every marking period. Creative intelligence is knowing how to adapt to novel situations, generating novel ideas. You may have some classes like that. We don't really offer a creative writing class, but maybe in some of your art or your elective classes, or if you have an opportunity to make a project where you kind of create your own project in certain classes. But most tests, unfortunately, the multiple choice test that I give you every unit is assessing analytical intelligence, how you do on either traditional intelligence tests, or any other test where there's a single right answer. And practical intelligence, the best way to describe that would be street skills, street smarts. Doesn't have to only be on the street, but kind of everything you do outside the school building, your people skills, the way you deal with each other, how you know how to get from point A to point B, everything that gets you through your day, things that we don't even think about that you're able to do, that would be practical intelligence. One more type of intelligence that was not included by any of the 3 previous people, not by Spearman, Gardner, or Sternberg: emotional intelligence. Or emotional intelligence is your ability to perceive, understand, manage, and use your emotions. So clearly you would need that for maybe Gardner's intra or interpersonal intelligence. But here it's kind of just talking about your ability to cope with and manage your own feelings. We traditionally didn't think of that as a form of intelligence. We traditionally would think of that as just managing your feelings, just being a emotionally healthy person. But here we're adapting the definition from not just emotional health to emotional intelligence. It's a skill, in a sense, that you to understand who you are, have self-awareness, and then know how to manage those emotions effectively. Finally, for today, you don't need to know these details, these tidbits. This is just we like to bring the neurobiology unit into every topic we do, knowing that intelligence correlates with larger parts with certain parts of your brain being larger than others. So this was the intro. Should only take you a few minutes to watch. Please also read the module and outline it and have this all set for Monday. Next week, we're going to go into much greater depth with this unit.